What's going on, everybody? Good afternoon. The game just wrapped up about 2 minutes ago. Seahawks win 24-3. I'm sorry I don't sound more excited right now, but I am still sick. Do not feel good at all. I'm still not on the other side of it, so hard to really get up the way I should be for a team that is 3-0. Although I will say the way this game played out was not really helping my health state, I guess you could say, because while it was mostly ugly for good reasons, acceptable reasons at the very least, it was an ugly, ugly game. And I'm not even completely talking about that from a Seahawks perspective. I don't think the Seahawks necessarily played an excessively ugly game. There were certainly ugly moments, but that was an that was a bad game of football. That was not fun to watch for most of it. I feel bad for the I feel bad for some of the fans that watched this game that I mean, football's supposed to be entertaining, right? Football, you want your team to win, of course, and that's the most important thing. But we watched this game for entertainment, and there was little entertainment to be found for a good chunk of this game. So I uh I can't say that game made me feel that much better physically, but at the end of the day, 3-0 is 3-0, and there are only a couple other teams out there that have a chance of being 3-0 after this week is over. So I will certainly take the wins as I can get them. But that was a layup that Seattle had today. Obviously, you watch that game play out, and the things that stand out to you are that Miami just doesn't have a real quarterback without Tua. So once the Seahawks went up 17-3 in the first quarter, the game was basically over. There's no way Miami was going to make up a two-touchdown deficit with Skylar Thompson out there. And then Skylar Thompson gets hurt. He tries to play through it for a little bit, and then they have to put in Tim Boyle. It didn't really matter. Obviously, Miami was not going to be able to make up any kind of a real deficit. The only points they scored in this game were donated to them. They had another drive almost end in points that was basically donated to them. So, I mean, hats off to the defense, of course, and they had to overcome injuries today, and that contributed to how ugly this game was. Like, that was certainly a part of it. But that was easy mode. Today was definitely easy mode. Next week against the Detroit Lions on the road, it's going to be a different challenge, much bigger challenge. But they stopped the run. They really locked down against the run well. They didn't let too much through. And in this league, you take them how you can get them. But offensively, you can see that we're just not quite there yet. Offensively, we're not quite where we need to be yet, and it all really seems to start up front. That offensive line, it's hard to believe we're a true contender with that line. So let's start with the defense because that's the side of the ball where there's really not a lot to say except you played on easy mode, but you almost had a perfect score. So you did your thing. Pass rush, really good. Got a lot of pressure on Thompson and Boyle the whole day. Tackling was pretty good for the most part. Couple missed tackles here and there. Guys like a Chan and Waddle are going to force the occasional missed tackle. So Mafe was great. Derek Hall was great. Excuse me. Uh, Um, I thought Draymond Jones played a pretty good game. Dodson made some nice plays. There are some lapses that he has, I think, in certain situations, but overall he's playing pretty well for us. So big positives there. I don't think Woolen gave up much of anything the whole game. Again, it's easy mode, but still, very clean game from him. Witherspoon, that would probably be the only guy who needs to be called out defensively in any real way. The penalties, he's got 4 in the last 2 weeks. Last week it was okay because they were penalties in the flow of the game. They happen. But this week the penalties were just kind of stupidity. They didn't need to happen and they happened. So maybe scale it back just a little bit Witherspoon. Last 2 weeks been a little bit rough for him. And other than that, man, what else are you going to say? Right? Again, you're playing a quarterback that isn't really an NFL quarterback, but you still passed the test, right? You got plenty of pressure. You tackled well. You stopped the run, which was the one way Miami was going to be able to win this game. And you go down the list. It's kind of like that first game against Denver, right? You go down the list. It's hard to find anybody who didn't play well. I found the one guy probably, Witherspoon. You would say that he probably didn't have a very good game because of the 2 dumb penalties that accounted for a significant chunk of the yards that Miami had in this game because they really didn't have that many. but that's how far we have to go to find something that is like legitimately some kind of an issue. So on that side of the ball, no real complaints, nothing significant anyway. And we needed them. We needed them to overcome being tired. We needed them to overcome injuries. We needed them to overcome pretty much everything in order to make that game work, because that was very, very dicey at certain points of this game, where if the defense was not locked in, then that game was going to turn into some kind of a problem for us. So grateful for it. Big shout out to guys like Mike Morris for going in there and playing a lot because of injury. They obviously weren't expecting to play a ton this game. I think Miles Adams was out there a lot. Jaron Reed was out there a lot. They gutted it out. Really hoping that Big Cat and Byron Murphy are going to be okay for next week. Really hoping we can get Nwosu back as well. The reinforcements should be coming soon, but the sooner the better. So that's the defense. I think that's really all that need be said. Offense, I mean, look, I've said the same thing the last couple weeks, right? Give these guys time, they'll start playing better together. But while we're waiting for that to happen, Geno Smith is going to get killed. And today, honestly, I don't think you can say that things are getting better. It feels like things are getting worse. This offensive line is getting worse right now, it feels like. Today, everybody on the offensive line, except for, quite ironically, Stone Forsythe, didn't play that well. Ross gave up a sack and he had a penalty. First shaky game for him this year. I'm not saying Cross played bad the whole game. I don't think that he did, but he did finally make some mistakes. Bradford, I'm sorry, he's got to get off the field. I'm sorry. Look, I like Bradford's talent. I think he has a bright future in this league. But you're going to get your quarterback killed in the meantime. And now it's everything, right? Because early in the season, it was penalties. And I was like, okay, the penalties suck, but at least it's just penalties. He's actually blocking okay. He's not allowing a lot. And he's also run blocking pretty well. But now he's not even doing those things. It's the penalties and the pressures and the sacks. He, by the way, largely caused the second interception because he got tossed aside like a rag doll and allowed his man to bat the pass down. So, I mean, Bradford's just got to go. Connor Williams, I'm going to continue to be patient with Connor Williams because I honestly don't think that it's reasonable to expect him to be playing well when he just got here a little over a month ago, and this is his third game back from a big injury, but it is getting a little bit tough to watch right now, admittedly. I'm not going to deny that. There is definitely a big difference between the Connor Williams of last year and the Connor Williams of this year. Laken Tomlinson allowed another really damaging pressure in this game. Had a penalty. Bad. Like, literally, the only guy on the offensive line that you can talk about positively at all today, I think, is Forsythe. And I'm not saying he played good. I'm not saying he played good either. But up front, something's got to give, okay? You can't tell me Christian Haynes is going to be worse than Bradford right now. And I'm a Bradford fan, but while we're waiting for him to figure it out, he's going to get my quarterback killed. And I that doesn't need to be happening, okay? And the run blocking, it's not like the run blocking is great all of a sudden. If anything, we still have big issues there. So after that first game where we were like, well, at least they can run block, at least Anthony Bradford's run blocking, I don't know about that now. Now I don't know. So I'm losing a little bit of patience with that just because of the circumstance. I totally respect that Anthony Bradford is a young and inexperienced player in this league. That's definitely at play here, and I'm not taking anything away from that. We have to be patient with him in general, but that doesn't mean he has to be out there right now tanking drives with penalties and getting his quarterback killed and causing turnovers. Like, there's a better way for him to be developed. So it really starts up there. There were other little problems in this game for sure. I'd say that Grubb was mostly pretty good. Couple mistakes, though. Couple of things that I didn't love. He's still calling these games under the assumption that his offensive line is much better than it is. So if the offensive line doesn't improve, then we're just going to be beating our head against the wall for a while here. And that's what it feels like we're doing sometimes. It's like you can't call these long developing plays. You can't do play action when the offensive line can't pass protect, right? So I like a lot of what Grubb is doing, but that part of it, like I respect the fact that this guy comes from a program in Washington that had an elite offensive line both years he was there, but that's not what you have right now. So that the running game for most of this game was rough, and then at the end of the game, it kind of took over. Charbonnet had a killer final drive to put the game away for good. And overall, I thought Charbonnet played a pretty good game. Again, he has to basically take the whole load because we don't trust McIntosh still. Which I mean, we basically have one running back on the team right now. McIntosh gets out there for one early game carry, gets good yardage, but it gets called back on a penalty, and then we don't see him again. And I know there are flaws in his game, but I don't know. This is getting a little bit silly. He's on the team, right? If he's on the team, you should have some level of comfort with playing him a little bit. I mean, he's a running back, and it's not like he had no experience at running back at Georgia. He played a few years at Georgia. He's been on the team. This is a year 2 now. So the running game, inconsistent. Ultimately, the numbers look pretty decent. Charbonnet ends up with probably the best game of his career, but there are going to be some things to look at for sure. Geno Smith plays okay. I mean, basically, it felt the game was basically over after the DK Metcalf long touchdown, but after that, things just got sluggish and stale and annoying. And the first interception, I mean, there was so much that went wrong on that play. I mean, from D. Williams to DK Metcalf to Ryan Grubb to the offensive line to Geno Smith, maybe even Charbonnet, although I'm really hesitant to put that play on Charbonnet, but that was a play where like 5 different people needed to prevent that from happening, and none of them did. But overall, I think Geno Smith played about as good as he could in these circumstances. The numbers look okay other than the interceptions, and the second one's one of the biggest fluke plays ever. So I'm not even going to trip on that one. Excuse me. So played all right. DK Metcalf with another big game, although it was mostly one big play. But in a game like this, where life is really, really hard, and it's hard to get anything really going, you need a big play like that. And DK coming down with that big play, using his speed and using the fear he strikes in the heart of these defenses, it's so big, it's so important, so crucial. Quiet game for JSN, but he made a couple big plays. Quiet game for Lockett, but he did make a couple nice catches. Noah Fant, what did he end up with? He was very active in this game. Noah Fant looks healthy. Noah Fant looks ready to go. Noah Fant looked much better in this game. Congratulations to AJ Barner, first career catches in this game, caught a few. Pharaoh Brown, also welcome back to the team, made one catch, did some blocking, picked up a penalty, by the way. And that's really most of what I can say for the offense. It's really just about that offensive line that is making everything frustrating. Like that offensive line, if we cannot figure out a solution to make them bad, because right now they're not bad. They wish they were bad. Right now they are abominable. Right now they are unplayable. If we can get to the point where they're just like bad, it'll be okay. But they need to get there. Let's see here. What else can really be said about this game? Special teams. We got to get on top of special teams. The missed kick is kind of whatever. I don't really care that much about the missed field goal. It was a 50-plus yarder. He already made a long kick today. He's going to miss occasional kicks. I'm not really going to get too mad at Myers for that one. Still cool there. But we got a big problem with the punt returns and kick return coverage in this game, I think. D. Williams letting the ball hit the ground. Stop it. You have one job in this world. You have one thing you need to do. I'm not even asking you to return the punt. Just don't let it hit the ground. Like, honestly, the first interception that gave Miami their only points of the game, that sequence started because D. Williams let the ball hit the ground. Because that's a different drive if we started out past the 20 instead of inside the 10. But, yeah, special teams, got to get on top of it. Dixon looks good, but we didn't cover. We had an opportunity to down a punt inside the 10, but we didn't get down there fast enough. I don't like the way the special teams look right now. That needs to be fixed. So, man. there's some stuff that needs to be adjusted. Luckily, we saw these problems pop up in this particular game where Miami couldn't really do anything. And then I guess I'm going to go ahead and wrap up this video just talking about how ugly and hideous and atrocious this game was. I mean, you probably saw. I'd really like somebody to go through this game and count how many times there was a play where a flag was thrown, because you had, I think there were 22 accepted penalties. You had several penalties that were picked up, and then you had several penalties that were declined. It would not surprise me if there were 35 plays flagged, correctly or not, in this game. Unwatchable product. And don't get me wrong, some of it's on the referees. Like, nobody wants to see you guys that much, guys. Stop trying to be the stars here. Stop calling every little thing, especially this illegal formation crap that doesn't really matter that much. Who cares about illegal formation? Like, let us have a watchable product, please. But mostly, the calls are very obviously correct. And I'm not going to speak too much about the Miami side of things. That's their problem. But we have our own big problems in this game. The holding, the obvious holdings, the PI on Witherspoon, where there's no need for him to be interfering like that. We had a, what else did we do in this game? We had the out of bounds hit on Witherspoon where the runner is like 4 steps out of bounds. It's not even close. It's not even a question. He's out of bounds and you're jumping on, you're pushing him. And I know he sold it. I understand, but it's still a penalty and it's still something that you don't even need to be close on. By the way, I am watching the 49ers final play of regulation here. And, ooh, they're actually doing a pretty decent job here. Oh, okay, game over. But, yeah, ugly game on that regard. The NFL doesn't want games like that. The NFL doesn't need games like that. That was tough to watch, and I feel bad for anyone who was an impartial observer who was trying to watch that game. Also, you had all the injuries. Miami lost their cornerback. They lost their linebacker, and, of course, Skylar Thompson got hurt. The Seahawks, we lose Leonard Williams, we lose Byron Murphy. Need those guys back ASAP, by the way. I can't remember if there was another one. There may have been 1 or 2 others that I'm forgetting about on the Miami side, but not really a fun game, a fun result for sure. 24-3 gets it done. And when your defense plays that good, you're going to have a lot of positive things to take away from a game. And there's still a lot, even on the offensive side, that I think is good, but we're not going to get to find out if players can't stay upright behind that offensive line. So figure it out ASAP. Because next week it's Aiden Hutchinson, and I'm not looking forward to that with the way the offensive line is right now. All right, I'm going to watch the end of the Cowboys game here, so I'm going to see you guys later. Go Hawks, 3-0. That's going to get it done, but that performance won't get it done next week.